Okay, guys, let's do floor 55 today, which, to be honest, there's just like one big gimmick, which is the enemy have this debuff notification and damage reduction, which can be removed if you do Black Flash in a row. So the correct way of beating this stage should have been using someone who's capable of doing Black Flash consecutively, like Green Yuji or Yellow Nanami. Um, but obviously there are ways to cheese around that as well, which is actually going to be the strategy I'm going to show you guys, which is cheesing it through using a counter attack team. Now this is a team I have never actually done it on my channel before. I'm well aware of this team. I did actually briefly talk about it in my team building guide, and I will reference that video in the section video comment section as well. I talk about it at the very end of the team building because even though it's not a hugely popular team because it kind of only work when the enemy is like predominantly single target. But when the enemy is single target, like this team is absolutely amazing. So I did cover in my team building guide, but it's only at the very end. So if you kind of want to understand the different variation of how this counter attack team works, then do refer to that video. But for this stage, obviously this team do work. But if you don't have access to Todo, which I guess is kind of the only tricky one, I mean, because everyone else is R or SR, so you're kind of guaranteed to get them, right? Todo, in case you don't have Todo, one of my viewers did actually talk about a few other ways of beating the stage without using Yellow Nanami. I'm not gonna copy and paste all of those links. I might do the second one purely because it's actually the same strategy which I'm gonna showcase. But as for the other ones, if you do really want to take a look at them, basically it's in the comment section for my floor 53 burst guide. Now he didn't say explicitly what those are, but for the first one, it's basically using Green Yuji rather than Yellow Nanami. So you're still, playing it correctly by using Black Flash to remove the damage reduction, debuff notification, etc. The second one is exactly the same strategy, which I'm gonna show you guys today. And then the third one, I think, is using Yellow Megumi, and basically you recycle through Mahito and also Yellow Megumi's domain expansion. So that's basically the three different ways of how you can beat it without Yellow Nanami. Now, I'm pretty sure I could have came up with this solution using counterattack anyway, but just to be transparent, I did read this post because obviously this was posted in my comment section. So I did actually take a look at this video before I cleared the stage. So that's kind of why I am gonna include this in my comment section just as reference, and also I guess just a shout out to this guy who did come up with this strategy as well. Okay. So yeah, so this was in my floor 53 burst guide if you guys want to check out other solutions as well. But back to this main strategy, which I'm going to showcase today. This is a counter-attack strategy. Like I said, if you actually want to understand how it works, I'll talk about it in my team building guide. But normally what you want to do with it is basically using our version of Kaito here in the main team. And the reason why I use our version of Kaito is basically you want to do increase the curse energy on Todo as much as possible, because when Todo actually do this best friend status to the ally behind him, when you actually do the counter attack, it's gonna cost you 10 curse energy. So normally you try to play the rare version of Kaito together with Todo. However, obviously that's only going to work if all of the enemy attacks are single target, because counter attack only works for single target attacks. Now, for this case, that is not actually going to be the case because the enemy do have a special attack, which is actually going to be AoE. And that's kind of why we are going to switch our Kaito with the SR version. And the idea is that 3 turns before the enemy about to use their special attack, you are going to spam the skill 2, 3 times in a row, and that can pretty much make you take like almost 0 damage. So that is basically the way you're going to play this around instead. Now, obviously, this is going to work because now you are able to mitigate that AoE damage instead. However, you could then run out of problem with not enough curse energy on your total, because remember, counterattack is going to cost curse energy, and that's kind of why we're going to use a few other ways of trying to increase the curse energy for total to make sure you're still able to counter that all of those single target attack. And the ways you're going to do it is basically you're going to place curse energy increase reflection on Todo himself, right? So that basically is one way to increase his curse energy. The second way you're going to do it is you're going to play this R reflection, and the way this R reflection is going to help is that this one is actually going to evade and also taunt 2 attack. So rather than you need to spend 2 extra or 20 extra curse energy to counter attack twice, this actually allows you to dodge 2 single target attack instead every 7 turns. So basically, just help you slide it out a bit more. And the other way you're going to also help out with the curse energy situation is actually using this combo attack with Saki Rindo, with this SR version of Saki Rindo, which also recover 20 curse energy. And basically, if you actually do this combo attack with Todo, you're going to make sure Todo is always going to be healthy, or not healthy, sorry, always going to be full of curse energy, so that you're always able to counter that. Now, the other thing you're going to see me do a lot of times in my gameplay is that I'll be keeping an eye out on the status on my Saki Rindo, because remember, the status effect do last for 3 turns, so you don't actually want to apply this too often. Instead, all you need to do is you only need to apply this every 3 turns. So in order to make sure you use all of your curse energy efficiently, just keep an eye out on the status effect available on Saki Rindo, just to make sure that you don't overuse your curse energy to increase your in order to apply this body status when you still have it for a few extra turns. So that's basically the way you're going to increase the curse energy on Todo to make sure you can always counter that or single target. Now, this enemy do have this thing where it gets a lot stronger after 40 turns. However, unlike the other stages where the enemy kind of literally one-shot you after 40 turns, this one, even though the enemy do attack you, it's still not, it doesn't hurt that much, because you're still evading all of his single target attack, which is supposed to basically make you his ultimate hurts a lot more. But because you're able to disrupt and also counter attack of the single target, his special attack is not actually going to hurt as much, and therefore you can still play outside of those 40 turns, but you still don't want to take too long, and that's kind of why you're going to have Unity and also this other ultimate energy increase reflection on Mahito, just to make sure you still kill the enemy fairly quickly. I think it took me around 50 turns or so, to actually kill off the enemy, so that is basically something you also want to do as well. The other thing you also want to bear in mind is that because the enemy is going to start hurting after turn 14, my Saki Rindo is only at level 28, and I barely made it through almost the end before my Saki Rindo got killed off, and that was actually okay, because then my Mahito can finish off with one Lost Domain expansion anyway. But for reference, your Saki Rindo probably can't be too low level. At least the Saki Rindo plus her recollection together can't be too low level. And in terms of reference point, I am going to tell you my HP on my Saki Rindo is just under 4,000. So I would strongly recommend you guys to get at least her HP to 4,000 or higher in order to make sure she's able to survive all of those AoE attack after 1040. Personally, I wouldn't suggest leveling up her grade any further than grade 1 or 2, purely because Saki Rindo is actually quite nice in the sense that a lot of time you actually want to use her skill 2 to make sure she dies very early on in order to sub out the first member of the team. And it's normally quite nice to have like a low level character who you are able to guarantee to die by taunting. And I normally use Saki Rindo for that purpose as well. So that's kind of why I didn't really want to level up her too much. So my suggestion is probably level her up to level 30 or so, or maybe grade 2, and also max out the recollection. But there's absolutely no need for you to go any higher than what's needed for Saki Rindo, because it might actually come back, can bite you in the future.